Hey everyone, I'm Mark,
And I'm Alex.
and this is Final Stop for Final Fantasy Talks. Well, welcome everyone to episode 35 of the podcast. We're all glad you're here as always. We are going to continue on our Final Fantasy IX playthrough. We're getting towards the end here, so if you want to start at the beginning, because maybe you're new and we're starting to have a little pile of episodes here. Episode 6 is where we started this, so that's kind of the beginning. It'll take you all the way up through to this point. And at this point, we just finished up Ipsen's castle, right? We went through that whole entire area. We got some nice stinky aroma that helped Odin out a little bit with his moves. And, here we are. We got the mirrors. We need to go figure this stuff out. So we kind of left off the little sailor dude on board that was sticking his nose in our business told us that we need to go to the first shrine. Or rather, the first shrine is the closest one next to us, which is the water shrine. And so that's where we're headed. Please, before you do anything, don't forget to switch out your weapons.
Yeah, and I mean, this is where, we go back to last episode. He said, all is one is all, so we kind of got to split up and try and take all of these shrines at the same time.
Right.
And yeah, taking off their equipment is always a good idea. Because you don't really have to do most of these battles, you only have to do one of them.
Yes. Yeah, so, I mean, obviously, that's the thing with the gear and everyone. We already know that Aiko wants to pair it with Dagger for this, and so you just go and basically drop them off, and Aiko's all really excited because, we get to have some girl talk, and Dagger's, does, girl talk? What's that?
Yeah, it's really funny. She's just not on the same page with Aiko.
No.
It's kind of funny that Aiko's more relationship-oriented than Dagger is.
Yeah, which, I mean, I guess as the princess, that might make some sense. Hasn't really ever kind of maybe been on her mind or whatnot, but regardless, you drop them off, and the next one is the Fire Shrine. That one is up at the Lost Continent, kind of at the northern tip. It's like a giant volcano now that appeared in the mountain, and Amarant and Freya, you pair them up. Amarant is not too happy at first. He's like, why'd you put me with her? And Zidane's like, would you rather go with Aiko? And he's like, just walks away. He's like, nope.
Yeah, it's probably the best pairing for Amarant.
Yeah, I mean, well, they at least have somewhat of that history. Freya's his therapist, I guess he just doesn't like her rates. But regardless, the next one up is Wind Shrine. So that is on the Forgotten Continent. Pretty much is just north of the lagoon. So it's always, all the way kind of down at the bottom.
Or just south of Eelvert, too.
Yep, there you go. That works also. And this one is Vivi and Steiner, so obviously whatever happens here, that's going to be the for sure one that's going to be cake. I mean, come on, those two together,
right?
They're just going to decimate anything. We got Ragnarok on Steiner, Vivi has Flare and Meteor. It's let's just leave them alone. They can go do whatever they want.
Yeah, and at this point, with Flare too, Steiner's got Flare Sword, which is just awesome, so he's pretty well set up.
Yes, pretty hysterical. It's very windy too, and he at least has the armor. He can block the wind for Vivi, so Vivi doesn't fly away. And
yeah, I love how he takes 2 steps at a time too. It's just all right, Vivi, let's go. And
it's can you guys get off the ship, man? We gotta go. Take it. Look down his watch. Take it forever here. Yeah. And so obviously the last one we have is the Earth Shrine. This is pretty much right next to the Desert Palace. You've actually probably been here multiple times, especially if you've walked around on that continent. And it's like, what the heck is this? Well, this is what it is. It's the Earth Shrine. Well, I mean, there's only 2 party members left. It's Zidane and Kina, and Zidane's like, he's telling Vivi to be careful. He's like, but to be honest, I should be thinking about more of myself. I got myself to look out for. I'm paired with Kina.
Yeah, exactly. And this could actually be really tough if you haven't really been working on Kina as far as blue magic or anything like that. This could be a really tough battle because let's be honest, Kina's not exactly the strongest character in the group.
Well, she can be when the fork decides to actually hit for, its representative attack damage, but,
Right?
It's pretty hysterical. I mean, it's Kina, so obviously it's going to be hilarious banter between Zidane and Kina. So you get to the Earth Shrine, and she's just so happy. Like, you chose me, Zidane. He's
Yeah.
like, not really. I kind of just got stuck with the leftovers.
Yeah. And then it's so funny. She's just like, nothing can ever dampen her spirits because even after that, she's just like, oh, I'm so happy. My tribe has a saying, leftovers good.
Yeah, leftovers good. So it's like, she took
Just
it as a
doesn't
good
matter.
thing. Yeah. At this point, it kind of just it goes around to each group and shrine. Essentially, it kind of bounces around for this, and everyone's essentially getting closer and closer to the center. There's like some traps.
Yeah, there's a bunch of
the
traps.
The only kind of interactive thing you have is when you're with Zidane and Kina, you need to
Right.
basically just hit your action button. What happens if you don't? I've never not.
No,
Do you just start at the beginning?
I'm actually not sure. I think it automatically jumps after a minute, but
Oh,
I'm
okay.
not 100% sure on that.
I
I'll
guess
have
you
to
just
try
get
it myself.
squished and that was the game, man. You get to start all the way over. You
That's what I
died.
thought too, but I don't think you can actually get a game over there. I'm not. Yeah, I'm gonna have to try it.
It's an interesting thing that someone intentionally don't jump and get squished and see what
Yeah.
happens. But regardless, that's kind of the only thing. The rest of it's just story and they're kind of going through. But I do really like this part because
Yeah.
as they each get closer to the center and they start to put the mirrors in, each shrine's guardian comes out, right? And so you got all these
Yep.
four guardians, and each one of them is kind of, I don't know, egging on the characters or just like, I'm gonna squish you like a bug, the typical
Yeah.
boss stuff. But the characters' reactions they're like just very pivotal on what they've learned through this whole pace. Like, for
For
instance,
sure.
the Fire Shrine's Guardian, she's like boasting about how strong she is, and Amaranth's is like, I used to know someone like that and he was a loser.
Yeah.
And essentially he's talking about himself, like only focused on strength and only doing that. And so it kind of shows that he's finally stopped being a big baby with Zidane, and he's actually grown to realize it's not just about strength, right? And then
I
it
was
goes
gonna
to
say that was one of the best parts too, is like he was, yeah, pretty much like you said, he's like, going around picking fights to try and prove your strength. I used to know somebody. It just shows how much he's changed. He's
yes.
really gotten over that whole trying to prove himself constantly.
Yeah, and then I mean the Steiner and Vivi interaction is really good too. I mean,
Yeah.
obviously Tantalus Group isn't there for Steiner to call them thieves and kidnappers, but he's just it's kind of the same thing with them. He's like, well, we don't know if we're gonna take it, but a real man doesn't give up. A real man fights
Yeah.
to the death, essentially, and so he's holding it down. Hopefully, he probably got shot in the back with Vivi with fire, but that happens, I guess.
Yeah,
And
that
then
was a really funny part too, because he just like runs over. He's all right, I'll hold him down while you cast your spell. It's
yeah,
like, how are you gonna hold him down? You're like 1/10 his
I
size.
know, right? It's like a giant
Anyways,
dragon thing.
yeah.
Yeah, and then actually, we never did see the Ico and daggers, did we?
No, that is a good point. You never actually do. Well, you do later. Spoiler alert, sorry, but you do eventually get to see the water shrine boss, but not in these scenes.
Right, because that is the question. It's like, what did they have to fight in which they won? No,
And
it's
yeah, and like we said, yes, our last episode. Good luck with that party,
yeah.
right?
Yeah, and so the last one that we haven't talked about is obviously the Earth Guardian here was Zidane Kina. This dude looks like the Grim Reaper or something. This dude is
Pretty
insane
fierce.
looking. Man,
Yeah.
yeah, he looks savage. And overall, the battle isn't that difficult in my opinion. I mean, obviously, like Alex was saying, if you've at least developed some of Kina and at least gotten some of the blue magics, of course, that's going to help out. You do have that brand new dagger with Zidane. Hopefully, if you're able to steal it, which
Yeah,
is
that
gonna,
makes this a lot easier.
yeah, boost his damage up quite a bit. And just some things that will definitely help with this because he does like to use lots of magics. So auto reflect is a pretty good one. And anything that negates earth damage, either gear or auto float, those are also really good.
Yeah, I used auto float on both of them. Another thing I did, Kina, like I'm just gonna be honest, I had the Orichalcon, so it was all Zidane in this. I just put
Yeah.
him with Undead Killer and MP attack, and he was doing like 5,000 damage. Kina couldn't really do much, but
I don't even
like
bother
what you
attacking with
said,
Kina at this point, dude. I just don't even waste my time.
exactly.
I will say, we did talk about this last time, or maybe it was just a conversation you and I were having while planning out some episodes or something, but Kina was really good with their blue magics early on, but they just haven't seemed to do much, and I don't know, maybe I just switched up some abilities and equipment or something, but White Wind was actually healing for about 600. Which,
Okay.
Of course, isn't horror. It's not great compared to Kirog or something like that. But, it was only doing like 200, 300 for the longest time. So it did upgrade. So that, of course, is pretty much your early healing. Or you can just start tossing out some of those elixirs. My stockpile was only 43. So I really hated to use 2 of them, man. It was really tough. I had to let them go, but I chose to.
That's a total Final Fantasy thing, though. You just hate to use elixirs.
I know.
They're like, and then you get to the very end of the game, and you'll still have like 20. So you might as well use them.
Might as well. Well, that too, and the fact that, dude, there's high potion. That's it, man. It's like
I know
that only does
X potion.
450. It's like you pretty much have to use elixir. So maybe that is why they give you a lot of them.
Yeah, because you also don't even have mega potions in this game or anything like that. So
it's quite interesting. But yes, so some things is Bad Breath does work pretty well. Apparently, Earth Guardian's very susceptible to most of those SAS effects. And then, of course, you got Mighty Guard. But, I mean, it really wasn't that hard to begin with. The steals are really actually easy, too, so that's great. Avenger is 100%, so that's awesome. And then 25% is Rubber Suit. So both of those, it should be boom, boom, 1, 2, for the most part.
Yeah, I will say Double Slash can do a lot of damage, man. This is why I had to use elixirs. I think he used Double Slash on Zidane. It did like 1,600 damage or something crazy like that. It might have gone critical or something, but his tier 3 magic can also hit pretty hard. I think that was doing about 800 damage or so on that. Kind of like what we talked about earlier. So either auto reflect to negate that, or auto float pretty much renders his earth shake ability completely useless.
Yeah, and if you have both of those, then pretty much only Double Slash is going to hit you. And yeah, so I mean, White Wind to kind of do if it's group damage. Other than that, I mean, that's the thing. I don't know about any of that against Zidane. He literally only attacked Kina over and over. I was like, dude, leave her alone. And like try to keep her alive. That's when I start using elixirs, because White Wind and potions couldn't keep up with it. I'm like, what the heck, man? What's your beef? And
was she in the front or the back row?
They were both in the front, and so there's I don't know, but regardless, you do beat them, and of course it continues. But we are gonna go to our bold move first. All right, bold moves. Alex, what you got, man?
All right, so going back to Final Fantasy VII again. No, I'm on a bit of a Final Fantasy VII kick here, but I just thought this was kind of an obscure part in the game as well, and kind of an interesting little part where, if you guys remember, at the Temple of the Ancients, you get a little scene when you're trying to get the black materia and everything of Seng from the Turks and Elena in that like mural room or whatever. And it's kind of funny because she's helping him out and everything, and then it's just like Seng asks her out for dinner. And of course there was a scene earlier in that game where she admits that she kind of has a thing for Seng. So she's sort of nervous and is like, oh no, thanks, I'm good. But bold move, Seng, gotta hand it to him.
Hey, every young lad knows that is that's a hard thing to do, is to work up that courage to just pull the trigger and ask. And so, yep, bold move indeed. I totally forgot about that, though. That is pretty good. Oh, the Turks, man. Well,
so what you got?
Mine's on Final Fantasy VII as well.
Nice.
I don't think we've said this one. I can't remember, but, I think it was a pretty bold move for Barrett allowing his 4-year-old daughter, Marlene, to tend bar while he's gone. Because 4 years old, first of all, okay? Like, leaving her alone. Now, granted, we know the story, we know everything, but still. And not only that, but yeah, tend the bar while we're gone. She's like, okay. It's like, that's a 4-year-old chick, man. You can't have her mixing drinks. She's over there pouring mojitos, popping beers. Like, what you got, Scotty? Slides it down on the bar table.
She's back there, like, mixing up cocktails and things. Crazy.
4 years old. Bold move, Barrett. Bold move. Get a babysitter
definitely.
next time. Goodness gracious, man. All right. Well, those are our bold moves, and let's continue on with Final Fantasy IX. All right, so now all the Guardians are defeated. We're able to basically collect everyone. There's only one scene though, and I guess it was kind of to make up for the fact that we didn't have a Guardian scene, like we just said, between Dagger and Aiko. And it's pretty hysterical though, because it's where Aiko's like rubbing her toe on the ground. She's like, "Do you love Zidane?"
Yep. And then Dagger does that thing where she turns away and she's sort of like bashfully looking down and thinking, and it's like dot 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 dot.
Yep. And then here comes the airship. She got off the hook, and she's like, "Oh, airship's here!" And of course, Aiko's like, "That's not fair," all that. But
yeah, you totally dodged the question.
But it's pretty hysterical though, because we haven't heard much from her, hounding down Zidane for the longest time. Aiko, that is, and so it's kind of slowly starting to come back again, where this whole just I don't know love triangle going on between the three, I guess, and so
but that Dagger's silence speaks volumes there.
It does.
She did
right?
not want to answer that
Hesitation.
question because she knows.
She knows how she feels. Well, and so here you go. You are on the ship, and it's time to get your party together to venture into a whole new world, right? So you can now go into the Shimmering Island. I can't remember I think they talk about it right now, like maybe it's kind of like a portal or something like that.
It's like the Path of the Souls and all that kind of stuff that they were talking about in Gaza.
Yeah.
And so,
and so
that's a lot.
I mentioned a little bit about that. And so here are some last chances, though. We've been kind of hinting at it. The time's coming. Well, the time has arrived. So this is kind of the, path of no return here going down it for a lot of the stuff in the game. So some things right off the bat is after entering Shimmering Isles, you will no longer be able to do the cotton rope trick, right?
Man, yeah, the easy way to get money for sure. You can also no longer get the coffee beans, and therefore you wouldn't be able to get the
model ship,
the Prima Vista model ship or something. Yeah, so that's going to be gone in a minute here.
Yes. And of course, we talked about it last episode, or maybe the episode before that actually, was the Monster House. Obviously this is kind of the end of Disc 3 kind of a deal, so this is the last chance to fight Amdusias before it will switch to the Disc 4 monster, so there you go.
Yeah, and you definitely want to do that because those running shoes, you really want to get that pair of running shoes because those are not easy to synthesize. They take some pretty rare items to synthesize those.
Yes. Well, and so so the whole thing is this treasure hunter thing. We talked about 2 episodes ago also when we went to Daguerro, and you can get the ranks from the Four-Armed Man, right? So a lot of this stuff is actually you're not going to be able to get these anymore, right?
Yeah, exactly. There's a whole bunch of places. It's kind of the point of no return when a lot of different locations are going to be sealed off very soon after this. For example, I'll just run through some of these, and this was kind of funny. If you go back to the ice cavern, you can never go back into the ice cavern because after you beat Black Waltz #1, all the ice is melting and they won't let you in there. But what's really interesting, if you go to the base of the cavern at the bottom of the mountains, that Mog that was in there, Moise, I think his name, he's like camped out with his little tent at the entrance, and he literally doesn't let you go inside. That happens a bunch of places because you also, unfortunately, and this is actually more relevant when it comes to the treasure hunter, because a lot of these you can't really do anything at anyways. Like Fossil Rue gets blocked off, but you couldn't go back into Fossil Rue anyways.
Right.
Southgate gets completely blocked off, so if you hadn't returned there and gotten like
was it Elixir card, I think, or something?
Those things, then go get those now. Gaza, Desert Palace, even Condi Petit, you can no longer, and the Mountain Path, you can no longer go back to those places. So go do that stuff now.
Go visit those little dwarfies one last time, man. Gotta do it. Brian Rootrunner, give him his Oglops. Well, that's a good point. If you never did return and give him that Oglop, now's the time. I did not, and I forgot, so he just won't get it. Oh well. All right, so
the more important thing there is definitely get the diamond. I think it's the diamond. The diamond from the Kirk boat.
Right.
Thingy,
yes, in the center.
Also get the moonstone.
Yep.
from the stones on the mountain path. So
Yes. Well, especially the Moonstone, yes, if you want that achievement.
definitely.
So, along with that comes all of the kind of missable gear, and we won't even be able to talk about all of it
That's
because
all right.
there's just so much, right? But kind of just some key ones. So, the missable gear that's about to become missable that has unique abilities. So, I'm going to rattle these off because these are just ones that, they themselves are the only ones that have this specific ability on it. So, just might want to pick it up for the sake of just being able to get those abilities. Oddly enough, it's like pretty much all just Freya and Steiner weapons. It's pretty hysterical with that, but you got Mithril Sword, Rune Blade, Diamond Sword, Flame Saber, Trident, Heavy Lance, Obelisk, and then some other things is you got the Black Hood, you have Hamlin for the flute, right? And then the Octagon
Yep.
Rod.
Yep. And I think you wrote something here that pretty much sums it up perfectly, so you guys don't get too confused. Essentially, at this point, from the locations Estogaza, Eelvert, and Daguerro, just get at least one of all of the weapons
Yes.
because those aren't going to be used in synthesize items, so you don't need to get more than one. You only need them for the abilities. However, the ones I'll highlight for synthesis that you will need in chapter 4, that's going to be very useful. Get about 5 or 7 mithril vests from the Black Mage Village. That's going to be used for a synthesis item. Get a whole bunch of green berets. The Black Hood is really important because I think that's the only item that can teach VV Death.
Yes.
And if you can afford it, get like several Zorlin shapes because that's also going to be useful in synthesis.
Yes, absolutely. And then of course, I mean, there's just a slew of things. I mean, for instance, cotton rope tray can't be done. Why? Well, because you can't get those items, right? So we're not going to go through every
Yeah.
single one of the items, but essentially all of the very old stuff is just no longer going to be able to get. And so, maybe just do a world tour. You go around, visit areas, things like, hey
Yeah.
guys, what's up? And just get anything you've missed up to this point, and or just want to
Yeah.
stuck up on. So
Yeah, because it's about to change big time.
yes.
So,
All right. Well, before you enter the Shimmering Island, you are given one last chance. The little dude will let you know this is point of no return, kind of, and go ahead and decide. Let's full steam ahead, so to speak. And so this is where you do get that pretty cool cinematic where it's like this, I don't even know, like a vortex or something,
yeah,
it's what, like a soul siphon almost is what it is. And so it's
that's what
just
it
really
looks
cool
like.
FMV. Everyone starts floating up, and they start, I don't know, heading down this giant tornado looking thing.
Yeah, it turns into like zero gravity or something as
Yeah.
they get close. You can actually see. So they, we've broken the seal to the Shimmering Island, and so they
Yeah.
get close and all that stuff. And yeah, it just kind of they actually can travel to the other world now.
Yes, and here we are in that other world, Terra, right? And it is, man, this place is really, it's really strange. It is. I mean, but that's not like a negative strange, like it's just strange. It's a, I wrote out, it's a world of blue hues because it really
Oh
is like
man,
everything is like blue. It's
everything is blue. Yeah.
it's really, and I don't know. I guess they just really listened to. I don't even know if that song was out. I got a blue house with a blue window.
I'm
Blue
blue
is
by
the
the mean
color
of my
of all
night.
that I wear. Like I guess they just really listened to that song. But regardless,
Yeah.
it is a really cool looking place, though. We gotta give it to it.
Oh man, I don't know about you, but this is why I love this game so much. I think this is one of my favorite parts in the game. The soundtrack here is literally just called Terra, is really, really beautiful.
Yeah.
And like what you said, it just looks like a really amazing place. They did such a good job of making it look like a completely different world. It's
Yeah.
amazing.
Yeah. Well, I mean, because that's a good point. Is for the most part, guys, yeah, it looks like Earth. I
It
mean, it's
looks
it's
like Earth,
got it's
yeah.
got water, it's got stuff. Of course, it's a different time, different world, and all different races and all that stuff. But it essentially reminds you of Earth, but not here. I mean, it does. It looks very alien. It's got
Yeah.
like these. I don't even know if they would be trees, but like tall structures that look like they have pods on the top, and
Yeah,
it's just I don't know.
they're like they're kind of like trees and then with like this podium at the top or
Yeah.
something. And that's where like, everybody, well, Anyways,
Yeah,
we'll get into all this stuff.
hey, yeah. But no, and then another point of the song, again, it's another rendition of the main theme song. That's what we actually talked about last episode. Alex kind of brought up the point that that's kind of the theme of Terra, is everything that has to do with Terra has kind of the main theme song that's just altered in a way. And yeah, this one's like super mythical. It's really awesome. Once you're there, though, you don't really get to walk around yet. You get paid to visit. Now, we know him. He's Garland, right? But Zidane doesn't know him, and so it just says old man or old looking man or something like that.
Yeah, we don't know much about this guy at this point. We've only seen him that one time at that scene when Alexandria got destroyed, when he destroyed Alexander and all that kind of stuff. So yeah.
Yeah, it's pretty interesting, and he just comes with some very cryptic words and stuff like it. He clearly knows Zidane, and we've known that he's known Zidane though, because he's mentioned that before, and you'll get yours too, Zidane, kind of a deal, and it's like, dude, what the heck, man? We didn't do anything to you, you know, and so, but he teleports in, and they just kind of have a conversation. He basically just like, you know, you're confused, man. You don't know who you are. You've been bewitched by the blue moon, which. I'm gonna try telling that to my wife here pretty soon. I'll see how she handles that. But like, it's so he's kind of saying these things like, hey, you know, you are gonna figure out who you are, and he kind of says a lot more. I'm trying not to. It's really hard to explain without giving it away.
This kind of ties back to something. This was something I was thinking about that's really interesting. Now, remember way back in the Black Mage Village, the first time we visited there in Disc 2. Yeah. Zidane was telling Dagger that story about a man who was trying to find his home, and all he could remember was a blue light.
Oh, that's true.
Hint, hint. Yes. Yeah, it's kind of interesting.
It's coming full circle in there, and we will continue, and there's much more, but we will do Seed Trivia first. All right, Alex. Well, he's on his rank 28 quiz. I think some of these are going to be kind of challenging, man. So here we go, all right? Just let's go with it. We'll see. Starting off in Final Fantasy VIII. The very first thing that we hear Irvine say is bang.
True.
Final Fantasy IX. Kina can learn the MP plus 20% ability.
False.
Final Fantasy X-2. I'm just gonna keep reading that strategy guide, man, in the mini games. Here we are. In the Sky Slots minigame, the Dive Beak combo has the greatest multiplayer.
Oh man, dude, I never play those.
It's time to pick it up.
Yeah, seriously, those are probably the, as far as X2 goes, those are the ones.
In your defense, I don't think anyone plays those.
No, because I just buy the credits. I don't even bother with the mini games. I'm just true. I have no idea. 50-50.
Yeah, there you go, right? Alright, Final Fantasy 13. Vanille and Hope are the only characters with Ravager abilities that mimic Lightning's Army of One.
Ooh. False.
Final Fantasy 7. Sid smokes a cigar.
False. I think it's a cigarette.
I was trying to say it as straight as a face and as quick as I could. Alright, Final Fantasy 10. Please let me finish before you start interrupting, okay? I'll bet spaghetti is not recommended for children as it is a choking hazard.
True.
Alright, our last one. Final Fantasy 12. The Pyleraster uses Growing Threat at 20% health, and I'm gonna give you a small hint. Focus on the percentage.
Doesn't help me.
Okay.
Well, I appreciate the hint, but false.
Alright, let's recap this. Final Fantasy VIII, the first thing Irvine says is bang. You said true, and it is true. I watched that
Yeah.
little scene because I was curious, and so I looked at it, and yeah, he shoots his headmaster, metaphorically, of
Yeah.
course. But
I
what
love that.
what a very teenage thing to do. You forget they're teenagers.
Yeah, exactly.
They're trained assassins. What a wonderful world that must be to live in. All right, Final Fantasy IX. Kina can learn the MP plus 20% ability. You said false instantly. It is false.
Yeah.
I was trying to think of any good ones. I obviously didn't think of good ones.
Which is weird. It's like MP plus 10% is useless.
Well, you know, so I
Really.
was going through the list of the abilities, and it's just kind of strange how, like, you know, some
Yeah.
of them can learn, like, for instance, HP plus 20%, some can't, some can learn 20%, some of the ones that
Yeah.
could learn 10% can't, you know, it's like, it's not a kind of very linear thing, but... Next one, Final Fantasy X-2, the whole Sky Slots minigame and the Dive Beak combo has the greatest multiplier. You said true, it is true!
Yeah.
I forget even what the other fiends are, but Dive Beak is times 100. So if you get times 100,
Guess lucky.
yep, there you go. Final Fantasy 13. So we had Vanille and Hope are the only characters with the Ravager abilities that mimic Lightning's Army of One.
Mm-hmm.
You said false, and it is false. But do you know
Okay.
why it's false?
No, I didn't really know what you meant by
Okay.
that, actually.
So Army of One is like the Ravager ability that I think it's like a super crazy
It does
what
a
is
lot
it?
of
Stagger
damage,
boost is what it is.
Oh,
I
yeah,
thi-
yeah,
is
chain,
what it
chain
is.
gauge.
Yeah, I was
That's
trying
right.
to remember. Well, so it is false, but it's only because Vanille doesn't. It's Hope and Zaz. So Hope and Zaz are the only ones they have an ability that's essentially the exact same thing. So those are the three Ravagers with it.
All right. I had no idea.
You know, I sound like I know a lot about this stuff, but it's because I look at the strategy guide. So anyone listening, I don't. Please don't ask me any questions. I will not be able to answer them. All right, Final Fantasy
Especially
VII. Sid smokes a cigar. You said false. It is false. He does. He has like a little
It's a
like
cigarette.
bent cigarette, and he has a whole like pack of smokes in his headband. You know, and it's like,
Yeah.
man. Back when video games didn't water down content, isn't it great? It's
I
like they
know,
know kids are
seriously.
playing this, and we just have a dude carrying around a pack of cigarettes, smoking. Like, heck, dude, I'm all for that. It's like kind of that raw and grittiness, right? It's pretty cool stuff.
Exactly.
Final Fantasy X, the Albet Spaghetti is not recommended for children as it is a choking hazard. You said true, it is true. And also
It's
not
'cause you eat too
recommended
fast.
if you eat too fast either.
I love that
Hey!
part. It's because you eat too fast.
Yeah. Oh gosh, we're getting to 10 pretty soon here, guys.
That's gonna
You're all
be
gonna
great,
you're
man.
gonna have to listen to us just busting out lines nonstop. All right, and our last
Yeah,
question
that
was,
impression.
yeah, Final Fantasy 12, the Pyraster, which of course is that like it's the last regular
It's like a
mark,
T-Rex.
right? The giant
Yeah.
T-Rex. So uses growing threat at 20% health. You said false, and it is false, and it sounded like you don't really know why it's false, but it's false because he uses at 50%.
Yeah, okay. I
Which-
thought so. I was thinking 40%, but
Yeah, I mean, dude, that's insane, man. I'll be honest, I've never fought him. I haven't taken on like the top 5 ones. That's insane
You know-
sounding, man. 50%. He still has like I think another million plus health at that point,
This
and
is-
doubles
yeah.
his level and starts attacking super fast. That's great. Awesome.
this is what I think we talked about this a little bit in mini games.
Yeah.
Growing threat is crazy powerful because, like you said, yeah, it literally doubles their level, which is insane when you think about it. And they
Yes.
can use it multiple times. They'll start busting out 5, 6 chain combos. Oh,
Yeah.
man. Hate that move.
Yeah. So, all right, man. Well, you actually only missed one, so you passed. Wasn't as hard as I
Yes.
thought it was, after all, I guess. Well, Alex got his rank 28 seed, and we are going to go ahead and continue on in the episode. All right, so we are going to go ahead and go through Terra here, right? And I was trying to remember, I think the first thing that happens is I think Dagger comes up and, you know, they're like, oh, you're all right, and blah, blah, blah. Right off the bat, there is... Well, I'm getting ahead of myself. Let's focus on enemies first here. So we'll just talk about bust out the enemies because, of course, it wouldn't be a Terra location if it didn't have enemies. And these are some strange ones. All right, so
Oh, yeah. They're
first
all super weird.
First one I'll start out with here is Hecht Eyes. a blob with eyes, and other than just having a whole bunch of life, he can use absorb and stuff. Not really that crazy. You can eat him for
Yeah.
roulette, and he is considered undead. As I think he's the only
I
one who's
didn't know
considered
that.
undead. Yeah, and so
Yeah.
you can just Phoenix down on life. I mean, that's
That's
what I
pretty useful.
read. I used a Phoenix down on him once, and it must have missed because it didn't do anything, and I don't have any
Okay.
healers, so I didn't even try
Yeah.
life.
He
Yeah.
he can be pretty annoying though, because he uses roulette himself,
Yes.
and it's just such an annoying move. It just sits there and like
Bing,
flashes between each of
bing,
your players.
bing, bing. It's like, oh my gosh, man! I'm gonna go make a sandwich and come back, and maybe we'll pick someone.
Yeah, and it's funny too because sometimes they'll just kill themselves. So it's not, but it can be just really annoying. It has a higher chance of hitting your guys because you've got 4 party members, of course. So,
Yes. Yes.
one quick thing I will say about, in general, about a lot of the guys here that I noticed, I'm sure you probably noticed the same thing. They love to use virus powder, man, all the
Yeah, they do.
dang time. They're freaking virus. So make sure just stock up on a whole bunch of vaccines because yeah.
Yeah.
Anyways, another enemy here, pretty iconic one, I guess you could say, showed up in other Final Fantasy games, are the movers.
Yes.
And these guys are pretty dang tough. They're like level 52, 7,300 HP. Kina no can eat,
No.
unfortunately.
Which
But basically,
which is interesting. It looks like cherries, man. It'd be like, delicious. You know.
they look like little oranges. Yeah, I
Yeah.
mean, why can't you eat them, Kina? But the key with these guys is just hit them hard and hit them fast. Get rid of what they'll do is like there'll be 3 of them, and when there's 3, they can sort of they'll start to like line up and get ready for
Yeah.
Delta attack. And Delta attack is pretty much just going to instant KO. So what you want to do is just do enough damage to get them down to 2, and then they can no longer use Delta attack.
Yeah. Pretty interesting thing. And then
Yeah.
the last guy here is Ringleader, which he's actually looks pretty cool. Like
Yeah, they
kind of
do.
looks like a I don't know, like a mage or something, with robes and all
Like
that.
floating
Yeah.
with a hula hoop thing around it.
Yeah, the
You know what
hula
I mean?
hoop.
Seriously.
And I did not encounter any yet, but I did remember them, and I did also go look them up. And it's just, man, they can just hit you with a slew of status effects,
Oh
just
man.
tons of different ones. And so that's the kind of the
Yep.
main thing there with that. And if you do eat with Kina, you can get Magic Hammer. These, of course, all these blue magics you can already get already. It's just, more opportunities to get them.
Yep. And on that note, the status effects, I'll just recommend. So with these guys, they love to use blind. So bright eyes on your physical attackers. They like to use silence. So what is that? Loudmouth
Loudmouth, yeah.
on your magic. I don't think confuse is a big like. I don't think anybody uses confuse, but
No, yeah, I don't think so. Yeah, regardless, just lots of stuff. So, fun enemies as usual. And so, okay, so now you get Dagger. You guys are ready to go ahead and walk away or explore rather. And you are greeted by this girl that's kind of like in a red dress. I forget what, or a red shirt, whatever. I forget what the actual name of the girl is in the game, but we'll just call her Girl
we'll
in Red.
find out. Yeah.
The main thing here that if you've never played this before is she will continue kind of following Garland's path of saying a bunch of stuff that doesn't really make much sense. Or actually, I don't even think she says anything at first. But the main thing is when she turns around and walks away, you might notice something.
Yeah.
It's like, did she have a tail? And at that point, the gears should really start cranking here for you.
Yeah, the game's definitely been hinting towards something, right? With everything we've kind of talked about
Yeah.
with Zidane, and we've never seen any other beings like Zidane and all that kind of stuff. So it's definitely coming to a pretty significant part in the game. But
Yes.
basically, you just follow her along the path. There's a little detour that you can get a couple treasures, right?
Yeah, right off the bat, I think it's on that second screen. You can just make a quick left and you just gotta hop on some stones. It's like I don't know, it's like a mirror. I don't know if it's a lake or what it is, but it's like a mirrored and you just hop some stones. You get a coronet,
Yeah.
which I think we've had before. Yeah, I think we definitely have.
Could
But the new
find that
one,
at Tuguero.
yes, there you go. But the new one is Dragon Wrist, which wrists, like, there's lots of different armor types and, things, but wrists, there just really aren't that many in this game.
No, and an interesting kind of fun fact with this one that's kind of unique about it is Anybody can equip it like normal, like, all of the people that could equip wrists.
Right.
But Freya can also equip this, which is weird because, as you know, she only ever really has been able to equip
It's gloves,
gloves up
right?
to this
Yeah.
point. So, and on top of that, Dragon Wrist is nice because if you hadn't learned Lancer with her, this also has Lancer on it.
Yeah, so pretty cool. Put that on her if you're using her. But anyways, go ahead and you'll head back, and there's just some bridges and stuff. So you cross a bridge. You obviously need to follow the girl. You got to kind of go down. There's like these weird nets. It looks like a net. I mean, it literally just does, except for the fact that it's like a
Yeah,
fluorescent white. It's very strange. But
yeah.
you can go up and down those. Rather than going straight to her, go down one, jump across the other. I don't know which one it is, but you will be able to get a mithril racket and here's the big thing, a remedy.
I know. I
Ooh.
was thinking that too. It's like, man, really boring
I
treasure, but
know. It's like, okay, cool,
yeah,
thanks. Didn't already have tons of those from Chocobo Hot and Cold.
exactly.
But just keep following as usual. You'll climb down. There's a demon's vest down there, which again is kind of just lackluster.
Yeah.
But this is when Zidane has a little bit more of a conversation with this girl. And it's kind of talking about some additional things of I know I'm trying not to give away too much and remember exactly, but she'll basically told him like you're about to discover your heritage. So if you hadn't
Yeah.
figured out by now, you should already know, okay, this is obviously where Zidane's from, I mean that's quite clear to us now.
Yeah, because she has a lot of features. She looks a lot like Zidane, so definitely the game is hinting, the game is
Yeah.
foreshadowing something about to happen. And anyways, you just continue on after that happens, after you got in the Demon's Vest, and you basically cross this big bridge where it's like in a bird's eye view. You go on to this next area where the music kind of stops and it's sort of eerie for a little bit. There's a little secret passage. I think once you get up to like the second or the third platform, there's like stairs in these little platforms. Go off to the left, and there's a hidden path that leads down. It can be kind of tricky because it's this type of thing where you don't have a mini map to guide you. You
Yeah.
just have to make your way down
Just
there.
move the
Um,
stick or something, or yeah,
yeah,
whatever.
because you can't see where Zidane is. He's in like a little tunnel. Anyways, it's really worth it because at the bottom there's a treasure chest with a Minerva plate, which is pretty sweet. It's unique armor in that it's ladies only, and even Freya can equip it, which is nice because she's kind of different from Steiner in that she can also equip sort of light armor.
Yeah. Yeah, those pieces like that. Yeah, pretty cool thing. And well, there's only kind of one more screen to go to, and at that point, you're obviously still on Terra. It was kind of interesting. It was like, oh, you're here in Terra, but now you're actually to, I guess, kind of the first settlement, so to speak. And that's
Yeah.
when the girl stops and talks to you a little bit more and says essentially like, welcome home. This is where you belong, and it's Brand Ball. Now, we're
Yeah.
not going to go any further than this. Of course, we have a little tiny notes to talk about before that, but we're going to leave Brand Ball for the next episode. So we're going to try not to talk about any of that stuff. Again, it's all very obscure to Zidane. He, of course, is I'm sure very confused. I mean, why does this girl have a belly shirt like I do? Why does she have a tail like I do? I mean, it's probably a really
That's
big
all.
shock for her.
Yeah, seriously. And also, I just want to say too, what's really interesting, and you guys might notice this when you're playing through, you know how like every time you enter a new place, it gives you like it puts like the letters on the screen. Well, at
Yes.
this place with Terra and Brambal, it kind of is like offset, and it's all
Yeah.
sort of it's all very otherworldly at this point. So
They don't worry about lining up their letters and words in this world.
I just
They're
thought it was funny.
they're a bunch of savages, really, is honestly what they
No,
are.
man.
But no. One last little scene though we do get is it's a nice cinematic too, and at first it kind of looks like it's like maybe a castle rising up or something, It's
Yeah,
kind of you're like looking over a ledge and it's like, oh, what is that? But then you get it in its full glory, man. You see that invincible ship and it's
yeah,
raising on up, and I mean, of course, it itself looks awesome, but it gets to the point where it's up above the characters and it kind of just zooms in on Dagger. She has seen this happen a couple of times, but this is like the first time, well, really any of them have seen this ship in this exact setting, fully, unobscured by clouds or anything like that. and she just kind of really she sees that glowing red circle on the bottom, and she kind of makes some realizations with that.
Yep, she has a flashback with Maiden Sari and the hurricane and the disaster that was happening there when it got destroyed by the eye in the sky. She realized that pretty much this was exactly it that
Yeah.
did it. So this is the ship that has caused a lot of destruction on Gaia and was also part of the destruction in Alexandria.
Yeah, pretty much just chasing her down her whole life, man.
Seriously.
I mean, it's yeah, not too great, but
Yeah.
that is where we will end it. There's a little bit more after that scene, but we won't continue it on. We will leave it for next episode, like I said. And so we thank you all for listening to this episode and hanging out with us, supporting us as usual. We're getting to the end, so it's going to be quite nice to not have to hold anything back anymore and just openly talk about everything.
Yeah. Yeah.
But it's still great trying to keep it as the actual story for the first time too. You know, I mean that's been a lot of fun as well.
Yeah. Thank you all, and thanks for all the engagement too. We're enjoying the social media, enjoying all the comments and the likes and everything we get on our Instagram posts. So we appreciate y'all.
Yes, absolutely. Stop by the Instagram. We're posting pictures and clips of everything that we talk about, the episode's content. And you can also stop off at our website, finalstop.finalfantasytalks.com. Just a little bit extra stuff there for you if you're interested. Got blog posts, put kind of the music used and things. See trivia questions are up there as well, in case you're just kind of curious. That will do it. All right, thanks everyone. We'll talk to you next time. I'm Mark.
And I'm Alex.
And this is Final Stop for Final Fantasy Talks.